Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bears on Tap, a podcast about the Chicago Bears presented to you by On Tap Sportsnet. I'm your host, Brandon Suarez. You can follow me on Twitter at Bdon300, and you can follow my co-host, Quinn, at ButtKissStats. We got a game this weekend, a game that we both think should be a winnable game against the Detroit Lions. We're at home again at Soldier Field, but before we get into the breakdown of that game, let me check in with my co-host, and we'll get going. Quinn, how are you, my guy?
I'm doing okay. I had a tea time for tomorrow morning, and it's going to be pouring all morning, so I'm a little bummed out about that. But that's about the worst thing that's going on with me lately, especially with the Bears quarterback play lately. Not much
Yeah,
to complain about.
that's terrible. Yeah, I am not good at golf, but I know that those things are probably hard to lock down, like times with your friends and all that stuff to get to go. So yeah, I can totally agree with that. And we got some shitty weather up here, anyways. I don't think we'll have too crazy of bear weather, but it's been like 41 days, 70 the next day. It's been real up and down. So we'll see what happens out there on Sunday. But a game against the Lions, right? And we've gone 2-0 against them the last few years. Last year, that game up at Ford Field was a little bit tougher than everybody anticipated. But I think that this is a game, given the current form that the team is playing in, that they should go into with some confidence. And even us as a fan base, right? Like, we should have an idea of what we're going to see in this game. And it might be a shootout. It might be another high scoring game because, quite frankly, neither team has really anybody on defense. But like another week for Justin Fields and that offense to get in sync and get better. And again, like I said, against a not so great defense and a team that does get into a lot of one score games.
Yeah, there's a reason on Shaving Points podcast our motto is do not sleep on the Lions. They are incredible against the spread. Like they're probably the best team in the NFL against the spread over the last year and a half. It's not. I don't even think it's close. I think there's
and they just beat the Packers last week too. They won the game.
Yeah, I want to say they're like 19-10 against the spread over the last 2 years. It's just like it's a crazy number for a team that's only won 4 games in that span, 5 games maybe. Like,
yeah,
you don't cover and not win like that often.
They've only won 2 games this year. That was their second win of the season. So, yeah, we are maybe not in the worst division in football, right? Maybe the Vikings hold us back from that, but they'll get exposed here down the stretch, right? They always do. But right now, this is a game that if you want to somehow make a push at being a playoff team, this is a game that you have to have. And even in the development of your young team, you just want to have a game like this. You're at home. You're playing against a team that you're better than on paper. Like you have to find a way to win this game.
Yeah, I got the number here. They're 15-10 against the spread as long as Dan Campbell's been the head coach.
That's profit.
But they're 5-19. So they've pushed 4 times in there. Or no. Is it 19? Oh no, yeah, they're 5-19-1 overall, but they're 15-10 against the spread.
5-19. Yeah, Dan Campbell might get shit canned. But
dude, so watching, I just put it. My game preview article just came out about an hour ago. So I've been grinding away for the last, any free time I've had after work and like outside of eating and sleeping the last 2 days has been grinding away the video for this and the article itself. And their film is so damn confusing. I do not understand what they're doing. Like, what would you say is the biggest strength of the Lions? Like, if you just were to guess.
Chaos.
See, I'd say
chaos.
I'd say offensive line, right?
O-line?
They have put 3 first-round picks on their O-line. Left tackle, right tackle, center, all first-round picks. You got your bookends, you got your middle. First-round picks who are not busts. You know, they're actually like they've met expectations or exceeded, I would say. And
Sewell, yeah, they just got Sewell. What was it last year?
yeah, and then they got at left guard, they have a third round pick who's developed nicely, and at right guard, I forget where he was drafted, but it's more of a question mark there. But like when you have that many talented guys in your O line, like high end talent, first round draft pick talent, why do you feel the need to constantly be helping them? Because that's what their film is. They are constantly bringing a six offensive lineman on the field to help with the run game, help with pass pro, to go max protect for deep shots where they only got 3 routes going, and out of the 5 plays that I saw like that in the game I watched, the 5 pass plays, max protect with an extra O lineman, only 2 of them were successful. And they weren't even like home run
They're like 10
touchdowns. They were
yarders.
like 20 yards. It's like
Yeah.
nice, but like, does that make up for the interception that Goff threw because he didn't have a check down? Does that make up for the time that Goff just ran out of bounds because there's no one to throw to? Like, what are you do? Why
That's why
don't
I
you
said chaos, man.
trust
It's
your
Jared
great
Goff.
offensive line to just do what you're paying them to do?
Yeah,
It's
no.
insane. It's insane. I was scratching my head, shaking my head, just like so confused watching it. I don't know what they're doing, this coaching staff in Detroit. I mean, I'm sure they have a much better reason than I could even like come up with because those guys know more football than I'll ever know. But like,
Dude,
I didn't get it watching it.
they had to have run out of kneecaps, right?
Yeah,
They had to have.
that must have been it.
But yeah, that's a team that I don't know. And the thing is, like I said, they don't play good defense, but they're somehow in like every game. You know,
Yeah.
they get
So
into those
there's
shootout games. They can for I want to say a portion of the season. They had an offense that was towards the top of the league, and then like it was funny because their social media manager posted that they were like number one in scoring offense in the league, and then the next week they scored 0 points. So I'm not good at math, but I know they're not number one in scoring offense in the league anymore.
yeah. I mean, they came out to start the season
Firing.
absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Amon Ra was clicking on all cylinders. DeAndre Swift looked like he might be the number 1 running back in fantasy football. Like, Hawkinson was getting his share in there. Hawkins is not even a Lion anymore.
No, yeah, where he got traded where again? To
Minnesota.
Minnesota, right?
He got traded in the division.
Which is sicko shit. That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
And then DJ Chark went down as well. So Amon Ra went down for a game or 2 in there. DJ Chark went down, never came back. I'm not even sure. I haven't seen like anything about him this year. I just know he's not playing right now.
Yeah.
Jameson Williams timetable was pushed back. He's still not back. I mean, that I was buying into the Lions offense because I was like Amon Ra, DJ Chark, Hawkinson, and Jamison Williams. That's a lot to cover. And then you throw DeAndre Swift in there, like that's pretty nasty with that O line too. I don't know if you need. I think I could be at quarterback and like get some points out of that.
Well, dude, and like I said, teams run faster in domes. They have it. Like they just have like the perfect dome
Yeah.
team, right? Like they have the gunslinging quarterback. They have all the skill players. They have a good O line, and for whatever reason or not, they are like 2-9. And I did not mean to make that rhyme. And even that part of it rhymed too. That was some cat in the hat shit right there. But yeah, dude, like the Lions are an anomaly, right? Because they were supposed to get better with Dan Campbell. And honestly, like the Lions will just always be the Lions to me. It's always a team
Yeah.
that, even though by no stretch of the imagination are we like sitting here with 6 rings like Tom Brady. You know, I've never seen a Super Bowl in my lifetime. You've never seen a Super Bowl in your lifetime, but I have seen us beat the Lions a shit ton of times. And I do think that I know it's kind of a pick'em game, right? Because it's a 3-point spread. We're at home, but I really just think that we win this game. Like I don't. Maybe it's by
Yeah.
less than 3. It's a lot harder to win a game by less than 3 than more than 3 in this situation, I think, because I do think that they're not going to have really any answer for what we throw at them offensively. And that sounds crazy. That might be like It might be the first time I've said that on this show, but if we can
In the
get
history of being a Bears fan.
yeah, in the history of being a Bears fan, but most importantly in the history of Bears on Tap, well over 100 episodes in, like their defense is not going to be able to match up with the new and improved Justin Fields if he plays to the level we've seen. I guess that's a more correct way to say it. In other words, I really want to say Bears by a fucking thousand, but I can't because we'll save that for the end of the show.
Dude, I mean, Jalen Hurts put up 90 rushing yards on these guys. Like,
Yeah,
I think
Fields is better.
going to do some like, they run a lot of man coverage and cover 3. So that means is your defensive backs are going to be playing deep downfield, especially in man if the routes are deep. Like, cover 3, it's kind of a given, but man coverage, if your routes are going deep, the DBs are going to be deep, and there's going to be a lot of space for Fields to utilize. And so Detroit's run defense is actually better than I expected it to be, at least on film. Like, their stats are really ugly, but on film they look more sound than like they are. Their D line is strong. Like, they are. I couldn't think of another word to come. They're just stout.
Yeah,
you know,
Hutchinson,
they are just
Aquara,
big burly dudes who can overpower you.
They caused 2 goal line picks last week, and one of them Hutchinson got.
Yeah, I don't know if the D line actually caused that. I think that was more Aaron Rodgers with the yips, but
yeah, well, yeah.
I touch on that. I touch on that in my film breakdown of the Lions defense. Actually, I go through those 2 plays and
shitting down his leg.
Yeah, they weren't great. Well, one of them was. It's funny. The first one to start the game was almost identical to Justin Fields off the dome pick against the
stupidest
against Washington.
Season.
Yeah, like the first one was almost identical to that. So if you're sitting here saying that Washington forced that interception because they're so good on defense, then you're saying the same about the Lions. If you're sitting here saying that was a dumb play, then that's what you're saying about the Lions defense on that play.
All right, so hear me out. So Justin Fields, his rushing total is 58.5.
I like the over.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about this for a few weeks. They finally started to catch on a little bit. His passing yards is up to 176.5. But let's talk about this, though. This is something that I think is crazy to me because I've never seen it. You've never seen it. Is the bipolarness of the national media, right? Because 3 or 4 weeks ago, they were ready to stick a pitchfork in this kid, call it a wrap. You know, Poles is going to start looking at a new quarterback, maybe a quarterback that he can call his guy that he brought in. And now, every time you turn on the TV, someone else is sucking off Justin Fields. And by all means, I'm not mad. I'm happy that people are, and we have a quarterback that is deserving of the praise that he's receiving because he is playing out of his mind right now. But part of me knows, too, that the way he's playing is not sustainable, right? Because if you run like this all the time, you're a little bit more susceptible to injuries as opposed to Fields in the pocket, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. It's a great tool to have for what, like, especially as a young rookie quarterback, or not rookie, but a young quarterback who's still, kind of figuring some stuff out. It's it's like an ace card. It gives you the chance to say, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You know, like you don't need all the answers right away when you can run like that. You can just kind of figure it out as you go sometimes.
Yeah, no, fucking the pylon's down there somewhere.
We look at the young quarterbacks who've had major success early. All of them can run. All of them have that ace card up their sleeve of I don't need all the answers right away because I'm faster than you.
Very true. And I think that the 61-yard touchdown run is something that, if you remember, we talked about because he had one called back a few weeks ago. I forgot what game it was, and we're like, He's gonna bust off one of these runs, and we're all just gonna be sitting here in awe and shock. Did you see the like? It was like a GoPro level type camera,
Yeah,
buddy.
that the Bears
That's
put out.
buddy. That is the sickest run I've ever seen.
I watched it about 5 straight times when I
Yeah,
saw it.
and even too, like as someone in myself that has like studied film, like I was a cameraman for a baseball team, like just knowing, well, I was just like, no, like the run, the film, everything was so perfect about that video, and yeah, those are just the vibes right now. Like everything right now on offense is getting better. We need to focus more on the defense. I think obviously that goes without being said, but I think right now with the flipping of the defense and all of it being for the most part new players, right? Guys like Kyler Gordon, guys like Brisker, Robinson, all these guys, Nicholas Morrow, uh, Klein that they just brought in, AJ Klein, all these guys need to kind of figure it's put up or shut up time for a lot of these guys. Now the rookie guys not so much, but guys like Morrow, he probably won't have a future on this team if he doesn't have a great season, right? And you're looking to fill. You need a new middle linebacker on defense. You need a new DN. Probably need another corner, maybe just one. But I think it's a great time to evaluate what you really have on the defense to kind of talk Bears fans off the ledge. Because I know I am. I'm really just talking to myself. I am Bears fans on the ledge about the defense, but it can only go up, right? Like we can't look any worse than we've looked the last few weeks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
49,
think
49 and 35 points, right?
this is literally a defense where you spent almost the bare minimum you had to field a defense. Like after trading away Quinn and Smith, like this is about as bare bones as you can get on a defense. Like the only guy they really paid any money of value was Justin Jones this offseason. And I mean, all you need is a little more effort to put together a better defense next year.
Yeah.
And these guys are just fighting to be on it at this point. Like most of the guys they brought in are 1 year deals. Nick Morrow, 1 year deal.
Yeah.
Matt Adams, 1 year deal. Dane Cruikshank, we barely even seen out there, 1 year deal.
1 year
Like
deal.
Vanell, 1 year
Haven't seen
deal.
him yet.
Joe Thomas, Armon Watts, Josh Blackwell. These guys were all on prove-it deals. And there's going to be a lot of change, I think.
They're all on proven deals. And let me tell you, buddy, they ain't proven shit. What's the shit, the Geno Smith shit, and I ain't right back? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the defense didn't right back. And yeah, the over-under I saw for this game is 48.5. I think this is another game that you look to score 31, 35 points. That should be more than enough to win this game. Because we haven't talked about it yet, but the Lions will always lion, right? And I like the Lions a lot more off a win against the Packers than like their seventh or eighth consecutive loss or whatever it would have
Oh,
been.
yeah.
Yeah, feed me the Lions right after they just beat the Packers, probably their Super Bowl. And then two, like that's an emotional game, right? Like usually just by trends, like when you get a big win like that, there's usually some sort of letdown in the next week. And I never bring up stuff like that, but that's true. Like if you look at teams after they get a big win, college or the NFL, most of the time there's a little bit of a regression that next week.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's absolutely fair. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just sitting here thinking about Eddie Jackson's seen a lot of Jared Goff in his career, and I think he might be able to work that to his advantage this week.
Yeah. I mean, the defense, if there was something that we can shine light on, is they have looked better in the turnover department, right? They may
Yeah.
not have been getting the stops that we need, but in the turnover department and maybe not on getting off the field on third and fourth down, that's something they could work on. But
Yeah, so
in the game last week, they were able to get off the field when we needed them to.
they're 11th in the NFL in turnovers per drive.
What's their number? Probably like 0.6 or 7. No, that's probably way too high.
13% of the drives.
Yeah, I'm terrible at math. See, not me doing the math again. But 13% of
But
the drives.
yeah,
So a little like 1.3 out of every 10 times.
yeah,
Two out of every 5, maybe. I don't know. No, I'm not good at math again. I'm gonna stop math.
yeah, that'd be 40. But they're 31st in third down conversion percentage.
Yeah, just getting clapped on third down, dude. We don't got shit for anybody on third down. Last week,
But you know what though? I got some stats for you here. No matter how bad we think the Bears are at something, the Lions are probably worse at it on defense.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean, they are 32nd in points per game, 32nd in yards per play, 32nd in third down percentage, 24th in red zone touchdown percentage somehow.
You're getting off the field down in the red zone.
Yeah. 28th in explosive pass plays allowed, 31st in explosive run plays allowed, 32nd in score percentage, 20th in turnover percentage, but 8th in blitz rate. Blitz rate's the one that they got us on.
So, from what I gathered
and red zone touchdown.
Their defensive coordinators just like, fuck it, send more pressure. Like, oh, we're getting beat between the tackles. We're getting beat on deep balls. Fuck it, just keep sending more pressure.
I mean, their linebackers don't play coverage anyways, so
might as well. Alex Anzalone forever.
I mean, I mean, this has to be the way they're coached. They bite so hard on play action, like they just throw caution to the wind on it.
Throw a mobile quarterback in there, they're toast.
Yeah, I mean, Fields is going to put up points on this defense. It's just a question of how many points the Lions put up answering, you know?
Yeah, because 48.5 is a lot of points. I don't know if I'll take the over-under because I just want the Bears to win. But
like, I want to take the over, but I'm terrified of taking overs that are like higher than 45.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of points for a Bears game. And last week, was it like 44? 44 though, you get a little 31-14. You're home, but yeah, I think offensively, like, it should be a good weather game, right? Like, the weather's been pretty good out here the last week or so. We got to find a way to maybe get Justin more air yards, more passes. Obviously, I want to see Chase Claypool get more involved, but from what we've been seeing from the nobodies in our offense, as everyone has tried to make us feel, the Darnell Mooney's of the world, the Cole Kmets of the world, even Equanimeous St. Brown. I know he probably didn't have that great of a game last week, but these players that are in our offense that are, for the most part, not necessarily like starting caliber in other teams, have looked good. And you would only hope that they're starting to build that chemistry with Justin Fields to where it's maybe he makes them better than they are. And that's the true sign of a good quarterback is, a quarterback making the players around him better.
Yeah. I mean, I think the air yard will come. Like, if I'm being honest, I am very happy right now seeing Justin Fields take the short stuff because it's something that we've never really seen from him before. That willingness to do it and the ability to do it effectively. That's something that's new for him. So for now, I mean, I'm not even too worried about the air yards as long as he's staying effective because I know he can. I know he can air it out. I know he has the arm. I know he has the ability. One thing to really watch for this week, I think, is
Scott froze you with what he said, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I was like reading it. I saw Brady and Fields in the same sentence. I was like, wait.
Oh, shit. That was a good one, Scott. Always keeping us on our toes.
Yeah. Fields is running more like Brady and less like Cam. He's just got to stop the pop-up slides.
And right now we're getting raided by bots in the chat, it appears. I've had to block 2 accounts since the stream has started, so go away, bots.
I thought you said rated,
Yeah.
not rated, and I was like, what are they rating us? How are
Oh
they
yeah,
rating
no, like we're like kick the door down,
us?
flashlight. Yeah, no, like we have more than our usual suspects in the chat today, and they
Yeah.
are not wanted.
So where I was going was, so DK Metcalf tore this Lions defense up for 150 yards in week 4. DK Metcalf and Chase Claypool are very, very similar athletes.
Now you're speaking.
Claypool's almost an inch taller than Metcalf. He's 10 pounds heavier and almost as fast. Like he I'm looking at the Raz card right now. They are extremely
Oh
similar.
yeah, dude, his relative athletic score is fucking up there, dude.
Yeah.
Chase Claypool's.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, like, and then to throw in too, if we want to put a narrative to it, right? Last week, the missed DPI that the NFL sent us a fucking letter. Thanks, that's real dope. Like, you cost us a chance to win the game. That doesn't help us out with anything else. But having the game that he had last week, first week in the offense, they still tried to get him the ball a lot. They threw him the ball like 5 or 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
He has another week to get the offense under his belt. I know I'm going to say this every week until it happens, and even after it happens, I'll probably say it. But dude, talk about a good spot to have like Chase Claypool on your fantasy team, or just Chase Claypool on your actual team that you root for, because mismatches left and right. And I mean, honestly, he could have a breakout game. What did you say? Did Metcalf? Because the Seahawks played him this year, right?
Yeah, he put up 150 yards, 100 of which came against Okuda.
Fucking Jeff Okuda, the number 3 pick.
It was just
number 3 pick, man.
They couldn't handle him. They couldn't handle his size speed combo. Like, he was too much. I mean, to be fair, he's too much for a lot of players in the NFL to handle. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have a chance to break out in this game. And the other thing that really stands out to me is his first full week of practice as a Bear. Like, he didn't play a single red zone snap last week. And it's not because the Bears weren't in the red zone. You know, he came off the field for red zone because he didn't get work in it during the week.
Yeah, and then too, like, honestly, just I was just noticing that, like, the bigger the moment, right, the higher the moment, he wasn't out there. He was in there for a couple third and fourth downs, like the last one that they didn't get the call on, and a couple plays before that. But throughout the game, they were going with guys like Harry and other guys in the offense over Claypool, and totally understandable, right? But
they know the checks, they know the calls. Like,
once we get Chase Claypool firing, right? Because think about it like this: Chase Claypool's last 4 quarterbacks, okay? Ian Book, Mitch Trubisky, Big Ben, and Kenny Pickett.
Was he in the league yet for any of the Duck Hodges or Mason Rudolph stuff?
Yeah, he might have been. So yeah, even worse. Like, whoever like has been good that's thrown the ball to Chase Claypool. And I hope that Ian Book never finds this, because I love Ian Book. He's won the most games at quarterback at Notre Dame. Great college football quarterback. Chase Claypool really made Ian Book a lot better, and Cole Kmet too, really made Ian Book a lot better than he was. But think about it like that.
Chase Claypool to Ian Book was Mike Evans to Johnny Manziel.
Exactly. But it's like the same narrative that we had surrounding Allen Robinson when we got Allen Robinson. They neither of them had a quarterback. And I think that Fields having Claypool and Claypool having Fields, the sky is the limit. And I know Fields has had more receivers that are built like Claypool than Claypool has had quarterbacks that are built like Fields. So hopefully that bodes well for, like I said in a tweet a few weeks ago, my favorite receiver that I've ever seen come out of Notre Dame.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm just hoping some of the luck of the Irish rubs off, I think that's the Bears' whole game plan.
Talk about that game on Saturday, bro. Whew. Yeah, I just got done doing Irish on tap before this. But yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of Notre Dame players on our team. It's something that we were talking about in the pre-show. If it works, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're starting to see
Jerry Tillery just got released. We can add one more.
See, and that's kind of what started the conversation. I wouldn't hate that. And you could sign him on a prove-it deal. He did great things with the Chargers. I honestly don't understand why they cut him. But the NFL is a business at the end of the day. Maybe they needed to make space for someone else somewhere else on the roster. But, yeah. And then another guy, too, that, I mean, he didn't last long because I think the Packers were just desperate to sign anyone. But Jonathan Abram, he got cut by the Raiders. And Bears fans were kind of clamoring for us to sign him. First of all, I don't see the need because he's a safety, right?
Yeah, it never really made a lot of sense to me to go after him just because, like,
we got to stop that as a fan base.
You've got 4 safeties who can play right now between, I mean, you don't love having to rely on DHC or Cruikshank, but all 4 of them can play in this league, and you know that, right?
Listen,
so you're talking about rostering another safety along with them, but just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Don't you talk about DHC like that, bro? DHC showing up to the facility at Hallis Hall
with man,
like 3-day-old spaghetti and like a juice,
I love me some DHC. Back in the day, I loved me some Brandon Iambadejo.
Oh yeah,
and like Sherrick McManus, but like I don't know if I want them starting for my defense. I love having them as depth because they're better than most guys who are depth, but like they're also probably not that tier 1 starter guy either.
Yeah, and I mean those type of guys get appreciated a little bit more in Chicago, but
who was
was it you that really hates
Costanzo? Do you remember him?
Anthony Costanzo or Blake Costanzo or whatever.
Blake Costanzo.
Yeah.
He drove like the sickest pickup truck I've ever seen. It was just like an old like 1980s Chevy with like an American flag hanging out the back and no windows. It was insane.
A literal movie character football player.
Yeah.
Was it you or Joey that said that they hated Craig Stelz? It had to have been Joey.
That sounds like Joey because I was always pulling for Craig Stelz because in my younger days,
he was a dog at LSU, bro.
I saw a draft profile from someone that compared him to Doug Plank, and I was just like, "That's the dude. That's the dude right there." Craig Stelz, Doug Plank, one and the same.
But I
was always hoping it would happen.
All right, so here's one for you. So I did actually at one point have a Craig Stelz jersey. What is the most obscure jersey that you've ever
owned? I know I'm not alone in this, so it's very easy to say. And to be clear, I'm not a big jersey person, so like I don't really buy them. It's just like gifts mostly. But Rex Grossman.
Oh, dude, I had one of those too. That's gross.
The first game.
That's gross, man.
The first, I see what you did there. The first game that I owned it for was the game. Arizona, 6 turnovers. He was an MVP candidate before that game, not after.
I have another obscure one too, and it's a random one, but I was given an award by like my 8th grade football team or 7th grade football team, and it was the Mark Anderson Award. So in return, that Christmas, I got a Mark Anderson jersey. And like, talk about like he had it wasn't terrible. He was on a good defense, but he played.
He had the 1 year where he was just like hair on fire.
He had the 1 year, and that was the year I got the award. So that's all that counts. But
there you go.
Yeah, other than that, the only jersey that I own right now, or like obviously as I've grown older, I've become more of a jersey guy, like the T-shirt jersey.
Yeah.
Fields, which kind of feels weird because it might be one of the first jerseys of a player that I'm older than. So that's definitely new.
Yeah.
But like Forte got his jersey, he was traded a year later. Roquan so the Roquan jersey was the first one that I got of a player that was younger than me. Got his jersey, gone. Khalil Mack got his jersey, gone. Like, if there's one thing that I can say is I might have to stop buying jerseys of players that I like. And I might have to start using them as like voodoo dolls. And like, if I don't like the player, I buy their jersey, and then boom, gone.
So like, yeah, I mean, I think I've only owned 3 Bears jerseys. And Grossman was the second one. Marty Booker was the first one, who was traded like 6 months after I got it. And then Urlacher, like a year before the Bears, like told him go away.
Yeah, and he ain't come back. Yeah, I did have I had a Booker one growing up. Booker was a great receiver on that team, and then Marcus Robinson I had growing up. But then like on the defensive side of the ball, you had to have a Mike Brown. You had to have if you didn't have like Urlacher in every color, you just weren't, like, you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah, you needed one for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
yeah, well, I know. So one of the old hosts of this show, my old roommate Ethan, he now works at the news station in Rockford. He had 4 Mitch jerseys, so yeah,
That's something.
Jersey
That's
culture.
something.
Yeah. Well, I told him when they traded for Chase Claypool, I said, well, at least you can turn one of those into a Chase jersey, sacrifice one of them. But I digress. Back off the jerseys. We got a little off the wagon there, but and then too, like, even though I said it felt weird to buy a jersey of a player younger than me, I'm not getting any younger, and I will probably still wear jerseys until I'm old. So sorry, I don't know what to say, because I know there's that like narrative that like, you like, why are you wearing a sweater? Just don't judge me. I'm at a football game. What I do here is not who I am as a person, and shouldn't be indicative on what you think of me. But yeah, this game, dude, I don't know. I did check the line. Did go back down to 2.5. Love the Bears in this spot. Think they win the game by more than a field goal.
I love them at 2.5.
Yeah.
Like 3 is a tough number, but at 2.5, I like that.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than watching a 3-hour football game thinking that you want to bet to just push. It's terrible. I hate flat numbers for that reason, but like I have a flat number right now in Falcons. I don't think they even cover it because they're terrible, and I think they just got a safety, which throws. We're not even talking about that, but Bears 2.5. Over under is 48.5, and I think that if we had to like pinpoint a best bet, similar to what you did last week, which hats off to you for the over, because I think that puppy hit in like the goddamn third quarter. Dude.
Yeah,
like,
it was almost there in the first half. I think it was 1 score away.
Yeah, 1 score away. So that was a good snipe by you. And this week, to follow up score prediction wise, I'll say Bears. I think Bears 27-17.
I got Lions 27, Bears 31.
Scared me for a second, dude. I thought you were about to say like Lions 27, Bears 24. I was like, dude, come on.
This is what this Lions team does. Like, they get down 2-3 scores and they start rallying back and like make it a game. Make you sweat for like the last 5 minutes because they've made it all the way back almost, and then they fall just short.
If you could like substitute someone in like WrestleMania in fantasy football, it would always be great to like pick someone up in the third quarter and fourth quarter on the Lions, because you're going to get some points. Like if that existed in fantasy football, probably always a solid pickup is like their receiver and Goff. But Goff, dude, we haven't talked about it yet though. Goff, he's going to turn the ball over. He always does.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're running 3-man routes with max protect for deep shots all game.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by that, like how much they were doing it. And maybe it was just that game. I don't know, but like it just made no sense. I mean, he'll give you a chance to pick some balls.
You watched
off.
Last week's game?
It was from week 4 against Seattle.
Week 4, okay. Yeah, because
I was trying to find the game that had the most similar talent level and like similar-ish scheme. And I thought Pete Carroll and that young defense made sense. And Geno Smith, quarterback, made sense. So
they're not about to get into another 13-9 game, whatever the hell the score was last week.
Yeah, I mean, so here, let me take a look at this. Like last week, it's insane when you really go through it all. Packers drove 88 yards. Aaron Rodgers throws it against the guy's like shoulder pad and bounces way up, interception. Then they drove
great play by the defense.
47 yards to the 1 yard line again. And Aaron Rodgers, what was it on this one? This one was like they were running a trick play where he threw the ball to David Bakhtiari.
Oh yeah, that
And
one
he
got picked.
underthrew it, and Hutchinson picked it off.
Listen, man, let me say something real quick before you continue. That's some bullshit that Aaron Rodgers called into the huddle to throw. You know what I'm saying? Because Bakhtiari's his guy. That's that bullshit, man. I don't know what he's doing up there. I don't mind it because they're terrible, but continue.
And then they drove to like the 35, something like that, Detroit's 35, and turned it over on downs. So we're talking like 9 points at least missing.
Yeah, at least 9 points. And you're indoors too. So at the very least, like on those non-turnover drives, you should at least attempt a field goal.
Yeah.
If I've already turned the ball over twice in the red zone, I'm not missing out on any more points.
Yeah.
But I think they're stubborn because they're not used to sucking like this, bro.
Yeah. And then they punt fairly quickly to open the third quarter. They get an interception that puts them in the red zone. They get it to the 1 yard line. Or I'm sorry, they don't get to the 1 yard line. Aaron Rodgers throws an interception on the second play from the 23 yard line. That one was actually a good play by Detroit's defense, though. That one was a solid pick. I think it was Kirby Joseph on that. And the next drive, their fourth trip to the red zone, they finally get points. Like, I mean, you're talking. So
they're not getting off that easy this week, man. I'll tell you that.
Into opponent into field goal territory. So is that 15 points they left on the field? Yeah, if we're just saying it, they just got field goals every time they got in the range.
You know Crosby's missing one of them.
So suddenly we're talking about them scoring 25 points, or 24 points, not 9, you know?
Yeah.
And that's being extremely conservative. It's 30 points if they convert any of those for touchdowns, really.
Yeah, then you got that momentum factor. But yeah, Scott said you guys are giving the defense too much
credit. We might be. I feel like I might be. But part of it too is just.
He also said
I trust.
Ooh, actually, I had a Curtis Enos jersey too. I was very young. I was probably like 5 years old.
Did you ever patch on a P to the front of it?
No, I didn't. It didn't cross my mind yet. I wasn't corrupted yet as a human being.
But yeah, I mean, maybe we are. Part of me though feels like we just installed new starters last week at a few different positions, and Eberflus and Alan Williams are really good coaches. The whole defensive staff is really good coaches. I think they're going to coach these guys up, and they're going to get better every week. Incrementally, it might only be a few points total by the end of the season that is getting better, but I think it'll be getting better each week.
Yeah. All right, so we have a exercise that we wanted to do for this week's show, and pull it up real quick. So we're going to go through a list of players, and it's one or the other. You just pick the player that you think is better in the spot. But for the first one, it's 2 players in the secondary. Q, you could start us off, but would you rather have Kirby Joseph or Jaquan Brisker?
Man, so I mean, I think this one is pretty solidly Brisker in my mind. I might just be very biased, just based on draft position alone, but it's closer than I would. Like Joseph's having a good year for Detroit. He's got 2 picks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 passes defensed. He's put together a solid first year there. I think it's his first year.
He did not get cup checked against Mac Jones.
Yeah, he did not. He avoided that one. So he was drafted maybe 30 picks after Brisker, 40 picks, something like that, out of Illinois, I believe. But he's a good young player, but I'll take Brisker.
Yeah, I think we know how I feel about Jaquan Brisker. I loved the pick when we got him. I've loved everything that we've seen since we got him. And I honestly want to say that I know they've been putting out a lot of lists lately. It's list season. Yeah, I haven't seen him on those lists, and I'm a little disappointed for like top rookie or top 10 rookies. Like, I feel
that
like
just means you gotta write your own list.
Well, and then too, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of the bullshit narrative of this position doesn't matter or that position doesn't matter. This position isn't valued in football. I just hate it. Like I just like safety is a very disrespected position in terms of value, right? Like they don't get paid a lot in comparison to corners and to edge rushers and stuff. And I'll almost double down and even say it like this: like safeties are looked at like the running backs on the defense as far as like pay scale, appreciation. Let's keep this guy around for an extra year, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
You see, I actually kind of disagree with that. Like, I feel like there's a top shelf of safeties that is bigger than like a top shelf of middle linebackers that like you pay, like you pay guys who can erase tight ends and who can really excel in a role. Like I think Eddie Jackson, if he didn't get paid by the Bears, he was getting paid by someone else that like I think there was a big market for him at the time. And I think there is again now because he erases half a field, like but I think safety is one of the hardest positions to evaluate from the outside because you're so dictated on by what's around you and by the scheme that like it's hard for teams to get a good feel on safeties, so they get scared off by when they see a bad contract hit for a safety. But
Like
I
Blitz
think
Boy Jamal Adams.
yeah. I mean, Derwin James is a guy you pay over and over and over, and I just think there's more of those safeties that are consensus. You pay this guy, and there are middle linebackers, and that's where like middle linebacker I think is the running back of it because you can get decent production at linebacker out of a lot of guys.
Yeah, and I think okay, maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself, but just you know what I'm saying though, like that
Oh
narrative
yeah.
where people are saying like this position, that you know what I'm saying, it's bullshit. I
Well,
don't like it.
that's where I think the narrative, like I know the narrative you're talking about with safeties, and I think what I guess where I was going with that was I think that's the product of teams having a hard time and fans evaluating safeties and their play. And did they do the right thing on this play? Did they do the wrong play? Was that bust on them? Was it on this guy? Was it on that guy? That it becomes too risky to pay them sometimes unless they're clearly that good.
Unless they're Eddie Jackson. Okay.
Yeah, like I think they matter a lot, but I think they get treated as if they don't because it's such a hard position to look at the film and say this guy's doing great.
So another skill position here: Darnell Mooney or Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I mean, I love Darnell Mooney, but Amon-Ra is
Amon-Ra.
he's a monster.
Amon-Ra is a monster. And two, we haven't talked about it too this week is the St. Brown Bowl.
It is the St. Brown Bowl.
Amon-Ra versus Equinemius. I wonder if there will be a like a head-to-head yards. I'm just gonna take whatever plus it is for Equinemius.
I mean,
that's my guy.
they've been pitted against each other since birth, so
yeah. We got the Notre Dame one, so I'd like to think we got the better one. But yeah, unfortunately, love Darnell Mooney to death, but I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown in this one.
If there's one reason you would, or if there's one reason I could argue for Darnell, it's probably availability. I think he's more reliable and more consistent.
Yeah, and a lot of his yards don't have to come in garbage time.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it's important. It's like what we talked about the other day with a couple weeks ago with the Cowboys. 29 important points, 29 points to keep them in the game. He did the same thing last week against the Dolphins. All 32 of those points were points that kept us in the game until the last, play. But
yeah,
I'm going Amon-Ra on this one, and then we'll stay in the receiver room. Khalif, go ahead.
But let's change up the Bears player here to one of the Bears' number 3 wide receivers. I think that's more fitting.
Fair. Okay. Fuck it. Why not? Khalif Raymond or Equinemius St. Brown?
EQ.
Yeah. And for those of you,
he'll block you to the ground.
Oh my God, yeah, he'll knock you.
He'll rub your face in the dirt. spit
Mama
on
said
you.
no. Wow. Also, too, it's EQ. I see people say EQ, ESB. People have been calling him EQ since Notre Dame. And, like, Bears fans refuse to be wrong about things. People think I'm being stubborn because I'm saying it's EQ. I'm glad you said it was EQ because that's just what it is.
It's just one less syllable.
Yeah, it's just EQ sounds so much cooler than ESB too. I don't know. It's just me.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
Khalif Raymond's shifty though. Like he's
Well, he's the
he's
perfect receiver for their scheme.
somewhat impressive. Yeah, like
Yeah. He can make big plays. He has a I'll say this, even though I would take EQ more for the full package of the receiver, he can make bigger plays. Like
yeah,
the explosive element may be there for him.
yeah.
This is a fun one. Jeff Okuda or Kyler Gordon?
Okay, so I am kind of this one's tough, but like basically something we said pre-show on this too was like, or I said was like Kyler Gordon's first 3 games. That was Jeff Okuda's first 2 years in the NFL. Like I I'm not sold that that much has changed with Okuda. Like he's having a solid year. I don't think he's having like a great year. I mean, DK Metcalf put up 100 yards on him.
Yeah,
Like I I'll take the youth and upside with Gordon here as opposed to the guy who's shown me he very well might not be it.
it's true. I am just going to throw my play call sheet on the ground because with either of them, it doesn't matter. They're going to get scored. Like headset too, like fuck. But gun to head, like yeah, I'm taking my guy. I'll take Kyler, but I'm not like over the moon about it. This last one's probably the closest one, a very interesting one to say the least. Khalil Herbert or DeAndre Swift?
So if I can put a caveat in there that he's healthy, it's Swift. Like all day, I think. Like his explosive play numbers are probably right there with Herbert, but he's more dynamic. He's more of a receiving threat. You can line up out wide. He's a solid pass blocker. He's not limited really in any way, but with his injury history, like he's only had what 50 touches this year. I mean, Herbert hasn't really had an injury in his year and a half in the NFL. So Herbert, if we have to account for injuries, but if not, give me Swift because he's a freak. He's just an explosive play machine.
Yeah, give me Herbie. Dude. I love the way Herbert runs the football. I know Swift is probably the layup answer and the non-Chicago and meatball answer, but I don't know, man. There's something about two positions on this team at all times, and that's running back and linebacker. And when you got two running backs in the two that we have right now, and even again back to like the Chicago, and even though I'm not like born and raised in Chicago, but like the Chicago Bears fan in me, you respect a guy like Herbert that isn't the number one guy, but comes in each and every week and plays like a number one guy. And we haven't had that. I mean, when was the last time that we really had? I'm not going to give them their roses because they haven't, really won anything yet. But the last time we saw a combo like this was like you'd have to go back to like Thomas Jones' time as running back.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Thomas Jones
there
and
was what
Cedric Benson.
2011. They had Marion Barber and Matt Forte.
Oh, that is true.
That was really strong until Barber ran out of bounds.
But you know what I'm saying for the last, because Tariq Cohen hasn't been around for the last few years, and I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
Love the way he played on the team, but they haven't really had like the 1-2 punch that is really required more or less in today's NFL. Really need that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, no, they really haven't. Yeah, I hope Tariq's doing well.
Yeah.
I love Tariq Cohen, man.
Yes.
2018 was just special. Like that year for him was just special.
Yes.
Like every time he touched the ball, something crazy happened.
So for this game, offensively, who do you think needs to have the big game for us to win?
Fields aside, because that's just
Just
a
week in
cheap
and week
answer at
out.
this
Yeah.
point.
Every week. Give me
Um,
more Fields.
yeah. Um, I'm going with Claypool. I think this is a big opportunity for him to really, earn some love from the fan base. I think he's going to have some real chances to make some big plays this game.
And then what about on the defensive side of the ball?
On defense, it's I want to go with Eddie because he I think he's going to make some plays on Goff. I really do. But I'm not going to go with Eddie though because I think that it's his ability to make plays is going to come down to the guys at cornerback playing their spots, doing what they need to do. So I'm going with Kyler Gordon. I need him to show up and have a good day.
Another day in the office. Offensively, um, I would go Claypool, but you already went Claypool, so I'm still going to stick in that receiver room. I'm gonna go EQ. Why not? Why not? Right? Like all the attention's going to be on Chase Claypool and on Darnell Mooney, but give me Equinemius St. Brown, and you know that. I mean, you gotta still remember that these coaches, as much as they're robotic, are people too. Like they're gonna call up a couple plays for EQ to put on a showcase to outduel his brother. You know what I'm saying? And EQ is gonna go out there and make blocks and do what he does. But a dark horse for my player of the game for this upcoming week. And then
I like it.
defensively, what do I think the most important part is? I think pass rush. So I think create chaos for Jared Goff, and similar to Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff will give back to you. He's the gift that keeps on giving, Jared Goff. And if Gibson can have a breakout game, right? Gibson or Robinson, but I'm gonna stick with Gibson because I've stuck with him a lot throughout the season, and I really think he's getting a lot better as a pass rusher in this league. I think he's able to create a turnover, and again, has turned into one of the veterans on our team because who else is left? So
Yeah. You know what? I just had a thought for runner up for defense for me. Armani Watts.
yes, that's a good one
The
too.
the Lions O line is the weak spot is the right guard. He's not bad, but he's the weak spot. So if Armani Watts can go at the right guard and create that disruption in the backfield from three tech or nose, either one, whichever the alignment is, I think that'll have a big impact on this game.
Okay. Yeah, dude. I know we had some wilds. Did you give a score prediction? I know I said 27-17. Scott in the
Yeah,
chat's 49-35.
I said 31-27 Bears.
Okay. All right. So it's not too far off. I still don't see a way we lose this game. And if you want to try and make a run at it, like I said at the top of the hour, you have to be able to win these games. And luckily for us, we got them twice. But do you have any final wrap up thoughts before we close out the show?
Nothing comes to mind. Just don't don't let them bite your kneecaps. Maybe wear your knee guards this week.
Yes, of course. Yes, keep your kneecaps in place. But yeah, we both got a Bears win.
Maybe Don't put any coffee in the visitors' locker room if you really want to throw Dan Campbell off.
Yeah, absolutely no coffee. And if you do give him coffee, throw creamer in there to really throw him off. But Joey wasn't able to be with us tonight. Make sure you wish him a happy birthday. His birthday's on Sunday, and he said that the Bears are not losing. Take that for what you will. And check his Twitter before the game. He'll have his Bears Best Bets article that will come out with his best choices from this week's game, which there are a lot. But yeah, all three of us, I'm sure Ron, even though he hasn't been with us in a few weeks, would probably predict the Bears win this week. Bears certainly cannot let us down, as they never have done that before. Find a way to win a football game on Sunday, and win, lose, or draw. We'll be with you guys on the other side. You can follow Quinn at Butkus Stats. You can follow our main account at Bears on Tap, and then you can throw me a follow at Bdon300. Whether you're with us, while we're live on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, or you're just joining us on Apple or Spotify, we really do appreciate you for joining us on this evening's show. Got the Bears winning this weekend against the Lions. We got nothing else for you guys, and bear down.
Bear down.